It's personal. I haven't even introduced myself. I haven't even introduced myself. And here I am talking about you know.
My name is Katja. I was born in Berlin, Neukölln. Went to school, Neukölln and Kreuzberg. Grew up here with the wall in what felt like a small community of dancers and musicians and creative, interesting people in Berlin. The club scene in the 80s was amazing and new and fresh. There was a lot of stuff happening. The Americans were in Berlin.
What do you want to say?
The disease of the Americans.
We got to party with the Americans who brought the freshest and the newest beats. There was no internet, so going to the clubs, you got to listen to the newest music. That's a time where I met Smiley, so that's how long we have been knowing each other. I actually left and went to the States and did a dance career. Stayed in the States for about 7 years. Came back to Berlin. The wall was down. The techno scene was happening, and Smiley had already built up a name in the techno underground scene in New Berlin. And I did my thing here. I was dancing for most of the time. And then, Smiley always likes to tell the story that I pushed myself into helping. I tell the story like he needed help, and I was there and I offered to help. And I started to do a couple of shifts and see the structure. And I know him very well. And in the 80s, we argued a lot about politics, about religion, about like a lot of things. We had a lot of head-butting, but so I felt very close to his vision of what he wanted to do.
Explain that along. Sorry for butting in. I don't like to do this, but on this case, I have to butt in. See, you have to realize, young girl, Berlin, liberal. At that time, she had her dreadlocks, she had rastas, and me, being in the military, I'm still thinking liberal because I lived in California, I grew up in California, but I was in the military, I was a military policeman, so kind of like having an understanding for the American way of life and American politics, and we got along great as friends. But we were just able to constantly have this interchange.
I was anti-police, like 100%. I was in the Hausbesetzer-Szene, in the Anarchy, Kreuzberg, May 1st, crazy rebel scene, and he was this.
I was a pig.
He was a
I was fighting police. Yeah.
Yes, so when we came back and I understood his vision, I know where he came from with the company, it felt at home, and it was very easy for me to kind of look at it, see how things were going, and kind of get into it more and more. In the beginning, I was only doing shifts. I was helping out, learning the business, seeing how he was doing things, and then slowly but surely I stepped in. I started to do a little bit of planning, a little bit of organizing, and a little bit went to a little bit more, and then a little bit more went to a lot.
But slowly but surely I stepped in. So you can call it a
takeover.
Are you okay?
Giving a sign. But it's a team. So Baldwin Security now is a lot of people, and it's a team, and I have a part in the planning and the organizing and stuff like that.
Funny, because this is all happening while I'm going to get to my story also, but this is all happening while I am learning as time goes along to give up responsibilities, because all of this stuff I was doing by myself.
Yeah.
and I'm learning to trust people and to tell them what I want and to explain it and to communicate it and have them do it their way, and just standing back and waiting for the result. So yeah, it's a journey for me. It was easier it still is easier with her because I love her to death, and I've known her for so long. So the trust is 100%. I'm not sure if anybody else would have been able to bring me this far.
Nobody else would have taken all the shit.
That's a huge thing to be able as friends to push each other, like to bring yourself further.
Yeah, but I'm not easy. I mean, everybody thinks I'm really relaxed and everything, but I interject in certain points, and I tell all the time. Even though you might do a lot of things that I like, and I'm not going to say anything, there's going to come a day and a point where you're going to have to fight me. I mean, not fighting physically, but you're going to disagree, and I'm going to interject, and I have strong feelings about certain things. And I have no problem with someone else having strong feelings. So it's not personal. It's all about us all growing together and making sure that we spend our time in the best interest of the company. So and that's, I can see, and that's what we can all see that we're accomplishing. So it's yeah.
The progress, and it's nice now that you say it that way, or that we're talking about it. We have grown together. We have been going through different phases of lives, having kids, going through having a profession, a career, to slowly adapting and interlapping and doing more of this and less of this, and now basically doing this full time.
For so long. How
35 years.
Yeah, but like I said, she's not a pushover, and also she jumped into a whole different line of work, and she's bringing all of her experience and all of, not just her work experience, her life experience into it, and I mean, like I said, I'm known as a really relaxed person, but I also have strong views on certain things. And it's also, I say something and she'll go, "What, you trying to mansplain me?" And I'm like, no. And we fight. So but it's nothing. It's just all about progress. And for me, it's just over when it's over. And we can go ahead and love one another again, but it's in all of us. I mean, not everybody gets it, and also I guess you have to trust one another.
Yeah, definitely.
And know that we're all fighting for the same thing. And it's also easier when the company has gotten to the point where it's able to give people something. So it's not like we're fighting and she's not getting paid at the end of the month. Then you have like,
you really have to fight.
Then you're like, why are you giving me shit? You're not even paying me for this. So
yeah,
we're all, the company's there. We're working for the company. We produce good work, and then the company gives us back, and then we go ahead and keep trying to make it better.
And where's the boundary between the friendship relation and then the work relation, like the personal to the work relation?
What boundary? You mean
like
when we're in bed, or no? Just joking.
How do you separate the person from the business?
How do you separate?
Interesting question, but I don't know. You don't really, because we, like Smiley always says, or like we feel, the company is is like a baby. It's more than just work and the company. It's not just something over there and then you go home. You take it with you. It's always with you, and you constantly like with your heart and your soul into it. So it's gonna play into it. And the same way that the company changes and has to change, it has to adapt to new situations, COVID and this and this and this and this. The friendship has to change with it. The friendship has to be stronger, and then sometimes the friendship has to step back because other things are more in the forefront and more priority. And then it will change again. And if you're friends and you trust each other for so long, you don't have to be afraid that something changes and it will stop. You just know it's a progress and it will change into something new. And new things are good. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. People are a lot of times, I think, are afraid of changes. And that stops them for moving on or going along. And at least that's how I feel. I'm not afraid of anything. Change is good. And sometimes it goes into a direction I don't like, but okay, it will change into another direction again at some point. And as long as you can talk about it,
there are so many shades of what we're doing. And I don't even, really, I have no idea what we're doing. And I didn't study business. I just started at a small idea. And the idea has taken on a life of its own. And I interject so many different things into the idea, and it's only because I could. It's just because I paid the money and it's my idea and I can do it. And
you made it happen.
We did it. You know what I mean? We didn't talk about it. We just don't dream things. The things that we sit down and do and think about and put together and agree upon, we do it. And this was a very big part of the whole idea, because even before, while just when I got out the army and I was sitting around with a group of guys, we're just talking, let's do this, and let's start business, and let's open up a cafe, and let's do this. And we were sitting around there, and everybody was getting high. I wasn't doing anything, but they were smoking and getting high, and we were sitting around making plans. And then 2 years went by, and I'm like, well, we're just talking and nobody's doing anything. So I went ahead and I did it. I left. I said, guys, see you later. See you later. I'm gonna do something, and I left. And it's about doing, and we have the opportunity to do, and we do it kind of like the way we think it should be done. And she has also some things that are really important to her socially, as far as human-wise, how you treat certain people, how she wishes to present herself and her world and her work world, and she fights for it, and she goes ahead and she plugs it into the company. And I'm like, okay, sure, looks good. Let's see what happens. And you can't. It's just it sounds like a good thing, so it's let's do it. And when we don't even get the result. I mean, I had I read I'm not sure if it wasn't Bill Gates. One of these big bosses, corporate bosses, said something, when you do a company, and you shouldn't do it for the money. You should do it for the love of what you're doing. Money is just a byproduct of doing whatever you love to do, right or good or successful. So, and that's one of the things that I love to see it with us, all of us. We love what we're doing, and we get up every day and we put a lot of work and energy and thought into it. And then it's a small byproduct now, but I hope coming up or whenever that it can get more. But we all, everybody needs money, of course. But the company by itself produces that byproduct.
Absolutely.
But
That one personal, really quick. This conversation.
yeah, it's personal. What? It's personal. I haven't even introduced myself. I haven't even introduced myself. And here I am talking about you know.
Sydney, I'm like,
So it's you introduce yourself, and I'm just working off of you, and I'm just talking shit about you. But I haven't even introduced myself.
Yes, please.
So nobody knows who I am. Why is this guy saying that?
Who is it?
yeah.
Um,
Who are you?
Who am I? Hi.
That was perfect.
I'm Smiley Baldwin, and we're sitting here because we had he just wanted to say hi, I guess, or and
It worked.
Yeah, it turned out to be like a long conversation, and then at the end of that, we were like, we need to really talk. So I'm Smiley Baldwin, and I started Baldwin Security, and actually nobody knows that it's Baldwin Security because it's just like, but most people say Team Smiley, and that's what we're known as. And the whole thing started sometime around 98, and we were pretty much getting booked for doors in the Berlin underground scene on the east side of Berlin. Mitte, Prenzlauer Berg, Kreuzberg, Friedrichshain. And I keep jumping between German and English, but it's okay, I guess. For whatever reason, the way I do doors, and I want to say this and make it really clear, we're not the best, we just do it our way. So we don't think we're the best, and we're not even trying to achieve being the best because our clients decide what product they want. So what we do is we say, let's be the best us we can be. And that's what we're trying to do. So for whatever reason, the way I did doors became a good product. And we started getting booked in the underground scene in Berlin and doing doors because people wanted that pizzazz, that way I dealt with people, that way I communicated, and the way we organized entry and exit, and for events also, and it became a thing. And at that time, it was really funny because I had opened a company, but I guess I was one of the only guys in the area that had a company at that time. And, at those years, people were getting paid cash. But I think most of the companies started to need paper. They started to need a bill, and they couldn't give out so much cash. So
This is the start of the finance.
the tax people were taking on a really important role.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that helped me being able to produce paper.
papers, yeah.
But it's funny. All the papers that I got then became very important. Even right now, having a company is all of these papers have to be intact, and they really, really control and they really check what's going on. So I guess I just went ahead and did all the papers at that time. So I just had everything.
I'm scared now.
Don't be scared.
My paper now.
Do you have your papers?
So you have my paper.
Yeah. So and I'm originally from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Yes, it's actually to sit in the same room with one of us. There's not that many of us. It's a very small island in the Caribbean. It's 37 square miles. And it's beautiful, actually beautiful. And I grew up in California because we moved when I was 13. And I was in California doing that Bloods and Crips thing that everybody knows so much about. And I was also there doing the hip hop and the I think I was gone during the lines.
Actually, when I went there to California, it had just happened. I went there in '91.
I was
I
here
think
then. Wow.
it had just happened. Yeah.
And I left and went to the military, and I didn't tell anybody where I was going, or not just my mom and my family, but I just kind of disappeared. And I told the military to send me away, so they sent me to Frankfurt, and right outside of Frankfurt, and I was there from 1984 to 1986. Then I went back to 85. Then I went back to California, and then I came back here. I came to Berlin. And the thing about Berlin at that time was you had to be, not every soldier was allowed to come to Berlin. In my case, I had to apply. And I had to wait for my application to go through, and they accepted it, and it was like, yay. I was happy, and I got here, and it was a really difficult time for me because Berlin was very, very hard. Very hard. The military was hard as it is, but Berlin was like extra. Because being in Berlin was also political. Because we had the British, the French, and the Russians who were here, and the Berlin Brigade was very interested in presenting a very perfect soldier, or as perfect as they could. Yeah, and I was a military policeman here in Berlin, and I loved it. I got to Berlin, and I knew within 2 weeks that the Berlin part of the army, or the civilian part, was exactly my thing. And that's what saved me, because meeting such nice, cool people like Katja, and also kind of hanging around in the scene in Schöneberg, experiencing also the nightlife, allowed me to, on the other side, deal with the strict army structure that I had to deal with. And I think I did good. I did real well in the army, and I stayed there and left in '92. And when I left, I just did a whole bunch of stuff. But one thing I noticed was, even though I thought being in the military and achieving like management, because a management position, that didn't translate into a company here respecting my abilities and giving me work. I sent out loads and loads and loads and loads of job applications, and I had one interview, and they still haven't called back.
Are you still waiting?
I'd love to go and talk to them.
Do they still exist?
That could be a problem. But yeah, nobody was interested. Not too many people were interested in what I had to offer, and I kind of got to the point. And I had jobs. I mean, I got jobs and everything, but I had no jobs where they were offering me kind of like promotion or way forward. And I said, well, it's, I guess it's something I have to do myself. If anybody's going to promote me, it's probably going to be me. So that's when I went ahead and started the company.
I feel so much passion. Like when I see also like the dynamic between both of you when you talk about this is very, very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing this today with us.
So
So that was why you just said like I could pick up and then
okay. So I guess you want to know actually. So we were talking about we were talking about what she does. Just example, what she does. Example. What she does is very layered, and we never work from just doing a shift, a daily shift, and we don't send out like everybody that's on the shift. Everything we do is curated and planned minutely, the right type of person for the right space, the teams that we put them together, that the right teams come together, that they function right. And her answer for that possible question wouldn't just be, I do that. It's going to be a layered question. So you can go now and answer it, but don't answer it with one sentence. You really, that'd be like, oh man, what do you mean? See, I just set you up.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, we try. We try. It sounds like we're like perfect, and that's actually when you asked earlier, what's the vision? The vision is to be able to do that. That you have that's the idea, that we don't want to have just anybody and just fill the shifts and just fill the hours and just have anybody working. We look at the place, we meet the people, we see their vision for their club, and we want to have a strong leadership position, and we want to have the perfect combination of diversity in a team. We want to have women on the team. We want to have different types of personalities. We want to have the quiet ones that kind of stand back and are observant. We want the people who are up front talking and being active and extroverts. And we want to have a team that's really rounded, so that all the guests that come to the place, to the location that we work at, feel welcomed. They feel that somebody is there that talks to their personality, kind of like, and that's our goal. So, and that's where everything basically starts. And then we find the right people. We have to see if they have time to work, if they're on the schedule, if they get sick, if they don't get sick, fill in. So we think we have it, and then on the way to actually having the shift, a lot of shit happens. Life happens, shit happens, and that's the exciting part of the company, that it's not ever just simple and easy and we're just gonna do this and this is our format and this is how we do it, because just life is just so exciting that it just always shit happens. But that's what we try to do, and that's the work that goes with it. It starts with meeting the people from the club or from the location or from the event, from the Veranstaltung, from the agency, whoever it is, meeting with them, understanding what they want, finding the right people, put them there. In the meantime, train the people who are new in the company, making them understand, why is Smiley here? Why does he work the way he does? How can they fit in and come close to the way he works without not being themselves? Because everybody comes with a personality already, and we want that personality, but we also want them to learn how to work how we want it in the company, how we want to present and represent the company. And to find that middle ground, that's really difficult, but really, really rewarding when the people get it and learn that they can be themselves on the job and still kind of like incorporate a couple of things that we give them on the way, of how to treat people. And it's exciting because that's life. You're at the door and you see people and you learn how to read people, how to accept people, how to be empathetic with people and treat people with respect, and know that you see everybody again in life and always have that in the back of your head. Why would you want to treat somebody bad? You want to see that person again. You don't know where and when.
Person could be the cook in your next restaurant.
Yeah, and you're hungry.
And you're hungry.
And what you're gonna do? You fucked that up because you wasn't nice to that person.
If you wasn't nice to that person, you'll spit in your soup.
I remember you saying something downstairs, you might find someone on the street outside of your job and then having to face this person again where the situation is totally different.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Did that happen already?
Yeah, it happens. First of all, it happens a lot. I mean, I have so many different. I've been around so long that it happens so often. I'll give you one. When we were doing Curating Schneider, the guy who came by, there was a guy who kept coming by, and he was, he's like a big chubby guy, and he was riding around on his bike in Mitte with his kids, and he came by and he goes, "You're Smiley, right?" He goes, I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, the night that you let me into Rodeo, met my wife. We get married. Shortly after that, these are my kids, and I'm happy." And he went and came back and gave me a big bottle of wine. So,
Wow.
and that happens, that happens. And there's so many wonderful stories that people remember, because I don't remember them all. I've got so many stories in my head. There's so many things that happen. I don't remember them all, but people bring them. And they're not just all bad. I mean, there are some, of course, I'm a doorman. Some of them are difficult stories to tell, but they're not all difficult. And there's a lot of people that I helped, and there's a lot of people that had wonderful connections only because of something that I did. And that's unique. And because I've been there so long, so it gets to be like, it's nice. But I like those. I like the positive ones. But you can have some negative.
I can imagine, like so many years.
Yeah. We were talking. An old friend was in the office. And we were talking about a situation that happened to one of my best friends. And it's also a friend of his, and one of the biggest, toughest guys we know. But, we had some difficulties, and he was out partying with some friends, and he wasn't paying attention. And he was seen, and the people organized themselves, and they attacked him.
Oh.
And he ended up in hospital. And some of the people who were around him that tried to protect him ended up getting hurt. And it's just something that always brings back that thing that in this job also, there can be some really hard moments, and you really have to keep your eyes open. I mean, me, I don't go out. I stopped going out when I started to do this job. I don't go out in Berlin. And when I do go somewhere, I go to the places that we work at. So, but I'm never, ever, I'm always there. I'm always very focused on what's going on around me. And because even if I might have forgotten some of the people that I met in this job, maybe they haven't forgotten me. So it's a good idea for me to just keep my eyes open.
And can you stay focused all the time?
Yeah,
Did you manage to do
I'm
that?
always focused. Yeah, I'm pretty focused. I'm pretty focused.
Yeah, you take that everywhere you go. Like you walk the street, you're in the U-Bahn or whatever, you always like kind of watch people, your surroundings.
Berlin is pretty wild, so I can
There's-
imagine it
there's-
would be like a very paranoid somehow to do this job on the long term. Do you have like a, how to say, mental support on the long term? Someone you work with?
There's certain parts of a company that we give. Being in leadership of the company, we understand certain things and we make them available, but we also make ourselves available to be spoken to. Like if any one of the guys and girls feel that they need a moment with us, we give it to them and we keep it to ourselves. And we are constantly having talks with people about sometimes really personal things. And if they need help, that's something we also ask and we offer. And yeah, we just don't let, or we try not to let people just hang in somewhere. I mean, we try to look out and be there for the guys and the girls in whatever part of their personal life they're dealing with that they can't.
Yeah, because we understand that if their personal life, if there's troubles or hardships, they can't come to us and do a good job at the door because you need to be 100% ready and concentrated. So we try to help them with that, and we hope and we try to let them know that only because they have problems maybe at home or with anything, that we're not going to just kick them out. If they're part of the team, they're part of the team, and then that comes with that. But we don't have like a thing set up, like a mental health something, but that's also something that it's a nice idea and a nice thing to have maybe in the future. It's something that would help a lot of people, but we don't have time for everything, I guess. We don't have the capacity to do everything, but it's something that has crossed our minds, and that's something that we know a lot of people, especially a lot of young people, need. We have talked a lot about the COVID times, the young people coming out of the COVID times, the hardship with that. So, yeah.
So COVID made you more aware about the theme mental health.
No, we were doing it way before.
Okay.
We were doing it, but during COVID time, I mean, we were also, everyone was affected, of course. But we were having a lot more discussions, and a lot of times it was having to do with, letting people go also, because we had to let people go. We couldn't keep them on the books, and what people were doing during that time. And luckily, we had work.
But also COVID, especially the discussion with a whole group of young people who kind of grew up during that COVID time.
Yeah.
And it affected us because these young kids were sitting at home, and they were exactly when they turned 18, and they usually would have went out to the club and slowly gotten into the club scene. They stayed at home, and then all of a sudden that whole group of people came and met us at the door.
Yeah.
And it created probably because they did not learn how to be in the club scene. And so it directly affected us. And of course, also we have some young guys, girls working for us. So that was a subject that was affecting us.
We talked about, like in other podcasts, about how it is inside the club. How was it for you in front of the door? Because like you're the porter to the club dimension. How did it came by? Like how does it feel at the door? This difference.
Do you mean after COVID?
Yes. Because like we see, for example, in the clubs, it was like now it's getting better, like it's different than before, but with the drug use or the music that it's played, the behavior also, like that we didn't have the bigger brothers and sisters showing how to behave in a club. So as you perfectly described, when you have all these groups of people that are obviously unexperienced and that have so much energy to release, a door is the first, like it's the last, how to say, step before entering a club.
We have a lot of support from the people who book us. So we don't have that much negative energy in front of the door. What we do notice, and we don't do clubs where we let everyone in. So there's definitely a selection process. And this energy that people bring in, we notice that what's happening now, I mean, this thing, this way of partying that had already started before COVID, that carried on into after COVID, and it became like the standard. I mean, before COVID, there was some like sex positive parties or whatever. Now it's like the standard. Everybody, especially in Berlin, who's coming out, is only interested in like this type of, especially the whole youth culture, most of them. And there's very few clubs outside of that clique who's able to put on a good evening without that sex positive stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of this. It hasn't calmed down as yet. I mean, we're 2 years into it, 2 years after.
Yeah.
We're still dealing with the effects of COVID. So
Yeah, it seems like there's no restrictions or anything when it comes to how far these parties go.
And social media also, like we've been seeing a huge evolution of the scene happening online, especially during COVID, with the music getting faster, the outfits getting more and more kinky. But like the people do not necessarily understand what these outfits really means. Like, I mean, as you said, like all these parties are getting more and more sexualized, but are they really there for that? Like, do the people at the door, like inside of the going, like the ravers, do they really understand what's happening inside? Because we're going to have a podcast with Club Verbot. I don't know if you know them. They do have this big party between Berlin and London. And they are very, very on point about the whole educational part of a community in the sex and BDSM scene. And I was wondering if you have any schoolings of your team members about that, and like if you have special courses that you get, or like workshops that you do for them to understand how it works in this field.
no, because we don't. First of all, we wouldn't have the time. Because the way we educate outdoor people is by putting the inexperience with the experience, and then they get the experience at the door. Because actually, you can't theorize. Well, put it this way: I don't know how to theorize door work. Maybe somebody else can do it. I'm not sure if you think you can do it, but I can't put it in words. And sometimes it's even difficult for me to actually describe what I do and how I do it, because most of it just comes from I don't know even what it comes from a place inside of me, and I'm just aware of the result. But we get the guys and the girls, we put them together with people that we know that have understood what we want from them, and then we have a look at them, and then we ask them, how was your evening? How did you like it? And how did you feel about it? And then we ask the our shift leaders. How did this person react to the way the people were dressed? You know, the whole evening, were they able to, you know, to kind of like come into the situation and be relaxed in the situation, or were they standoffish, or were they like, don't touch me, or how were they?
And of course, in preparation to that, I mean, I'm never gonna send a new person just to a place like that without having a conversation. Of course, we have conversation. We just don't have a course that sounds so like official, like a company offering courses that you take. No, we don't have that. But yes, every person that I will send to a club with a sex positive or fetish party, I will have a conversation. I will explain what's happening. I will kind of feel and find out how the person feels about that, if they have experience in that, personal or as far as working, and then explaining what it means to work there, and then getting their consent for that. And then the next step is to have them work with a team leader that really takes them by the hand and makes sure that they're taken care of that evening and at any point of time if they feel uncomfortable, that, you know, there's a way out.